Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The piece I present tonight is called Much Better, Thank You. I moved to Los Angeles with $500 in my pocket and a meeting with a producer who said he loved my first screenplay. Ronald Reagan was president, though he did not know it at the time. On the appointed day at the appointed time, I showed up at the meeting on the Paramount lot, and the producer told me that he very much wanted to buy my script, but he couldn't put any money down until I had done a rewrite on the second act. So I spent some of my $500 on a portable typewriter. I slept on a friend's couch during the day, late into the day. And then when I awoke, I would sit on the floor with the typewriter, and I would work on that new draft. On the appointed day, at the appointed time, I went back to the producer's office with my new script in my hot little hands. I had hot little hands, though I did not know it at the time. I arrived at the producer's office just in time to find a custodial worker scraping the producer's name off the office door. My triumphant arrival in the City of Angels was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be. But I had been a regular at the improvisation in New York City from the time I was 18, so I figured I could go to the improv here and get work as a comic. Everything was going to be fine. So I went to the Hollywood Improv, where I was told that I could come in on Sunday and put my name in a hat, and if my name was pulled out of the hat, I could do an open mic set for 3 minutes. My warm reception at the Hollywood Improv was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be, but I was young and I was arrogant and I could talk. So I convinced them that they should give me a proper showcase. On the appointed night, at the appointed time, I arrived at the Hollywood Improv, and I went to the MC and I said, expectations are very important. Please tell the crowd that we have a very special guest on the bill, that you're excited to have me, that I've just come here from New York, where I've been working in the film and television industries. This was all true. I'd been a production assistant on Crocodile Dundee and the Cagney and Lacey New York shoot. He said, I know how to do my job. Go wait in the back. I waited in the back as the person ahead of me went on stage and did his set. And when he came off, the MC went back up and he said, ladies and gentlemen, the Hollywood Improv is very pleased to present a very special guest. A hushed murmur passed through the room. Special guests were the reason people came to the Hollywood Improv. He went on. Our next performer has just gotten back from New York City, where he was shooting his next major motion picture release. Not exactly what I had said, but good enough. There was now a quiet settling on the room, an excitement I couldn't help but kill. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming. My weight shifted forward onto the balls of my feet as the MC said, Robin Williams! And Robin blasted past me and took the stage, and he joked and improvised and sweated for 45 minutes, and he was hilarious! He said, thank you, good night. And he got off the stage to wild applause. The audience stood up, paying its collective tab, completely satisfied with the value it had received for its entertainment dollar. As the MC went back up and said, okay, this next guy is going to showcase for us tonight. Dylan, why don't you come up and show us what you got? I told wry political jokes to a walking ovation. It was not so much an audience as a gathering of people who had now bottlenecked at the egress. My grand showcase at the Hollywood Improv was not exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I went up to Sunset Boulevard, to the Comedy Store, where I got a job answering the phones that paid not enough to rent an apartment. At night, I slept on the roof in a little recessed area that was hidden from the street, and which, I discovered one rainy night, was designed to channel water away from an entrance. So I found old newspapers, and I dammed up a little space for myself to keep dry. And from then on, when it looked like rain, I hid out in the club until everyone had gone home and all the doors were locked. And then I slept on a booth bench in the belly room, because I had so thoroughly internalized the demented status system of the club that even as a vagabond, I didn't feel I was ready for the main room. One night, I saw a little bit of stage time at the end of a show. And afterwards, a 52-year-old woman told me that I was very funny, and she invited me to her home in the Hollywood Hills, where I had sex with her and her boyfriend, because they gave me cocaine and hinted at a guest house I might be able to stay in. That night, as I walked the long, dark, winding road back to the club, I was incredibly happy. Partly because I'd done a lot of free cocaine, and partly because she had said that I was funny. It wasn't until many, many years later that it occurred to me that I had been homeless and a prostitute. But that night, as I went to sleep in my little rain gutter tar paper depression, and the cocaine left my system, it did cross my mind that my stellar rise to stardom was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be. I started to get more stage time. I started to work the road all over the country. I took the stage in double-breasted false bravado, and I prayed that the audiences would not see through my wardrobe and my wit to realize that I was a fake and a fraud and a freak and a failure. I was not Lenny Bruce, and I was not Bill Hicks, and my firm commitment to the truth was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be. And after each show, I would work the crowd, or I would go to the local bars, and I would try to find women who would indulge my dark fetishes and my personal perversities, and failing to find them, I would weep alone in stoned hotel rooms. And I was not Hawkeye Pierce, and I was not James Bond, and my psychosexual persona was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be. And then I sold my first novel. And I thought I could come in off the road and I could give up the life of a comic. I received an advance that was not enough to catch up with my debts, but the joy would come with the release of the book. And there was a delay in publication, and there was a delay in publication, and there was a delay in publication, and then the book came out. And in the first year that it was on the shelves, we sold 9 copies. And my explosion on the worldwide literary scene was not exactly what I had thought it was going to be. And one night, I had a meeting with a producer who said he loved my work. We met in a coffee house, and I told him how much I liked his idea, and he asked me to write it on spec. We were getting along very well, and though there was no money in it right away, I was feeling pretty good about things. So I flirted with the woman behind the counter. And after the meeting, I stayed, and she kept bringing me coffee. And we talked and joked and laughed late into the night. And finally, before I left, I asked her on a date, and she said yes. As I headed home along the empty Hollywood streets, I was incredibly happy, partly because I had a lot of free coffee, and partly because she had said that I was funny. And I had really enjoyed this woman. I had had a great time talking to her, and I found that I could actually imagine spending my life with her, that I was already imagining spending my life with this woman. But that night, as I went to sleep in my sad, lonely, stone studio apartment, and the caffeine left my system, it dawned on me that our life together would either have a cloud of lies and deception hanging over it, or she would recognize me for the fraud and the freak that I was, and resent me for trying to conceal it, and walk away. So I showed up for our first date, dragging a duffel bag full of coke whore shame, and pushing my self-loathing in front of me like a stolen shopping cart full of obsolete rain-soaked newspapers. And right there, between the shrimp cocktail and the risotto, I unloaded my baggage on the table. And this woman, this amazing woman, this woman whose only flaw is that she turns the map to face the same direction that she's traveling, leaned across the table and scratched the side of my head like I was a big woolly sheepdog, and said, "You're just a little freak, aren't you?" And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, The first 15 years of marriage have not been exactly what I thought they were going to be. They've been much better. Thank you.